Welcome to the Near Memo, a weekly conversation about search, social, and commerce. What happened, why it matters, and the implications for local. Welcome to episode 69 of the Near Memo, where David, Mike, and I talk about search, social, and commerce through a local lens. And we're excited today to be talking about range. Oh, there's a filler word. All right. I promised I wouldn't be using any filler words. Come in again. All right. So we're going to be talking about a range of really interesting things today. We're going to be talking about a great example of customer experience, customer service, and how that translated into a sort of a huge blow up viral moment on Twitter. We're going to be talking about the top 1,000 keywords and what they reveal about the state of the web and local in particular. And we're also going to be talking about John Oliver's kind of also viral, really cogent and funny takedown of big tech and discussion of the antitrust bills and Rand Fishkin's follow-up to that, which he posted just recently. So, Mike, take it away. Chewy.
Into my stream yesterday, both on Twitter and off Twitter, came a tweet from an Anna Bros who contacted Chewy last week to see if she could return an unopened bag of dog food after her dog had died. And one, they gave her a full refund. And two, they told her to donate the food to the local shelter. And then three, whoever took the call had flowers sent to this person's home with a little card. And this tweet I saw it, like I said, I don't follow dogs particularly, other than Cindy Crum, who retweets them forever. But somehow this showed up multiple times in my thread. And as Aaron Wyke from Lead Fertile pointed out, that good brand customer experience can gain millions of impressions very cheaply. I mean, this tweet has been liked 352,000 times. It's been retweeted roughly 25,000 times. And it's just because they were giving the refund and acting nicely. And it didn't cost them very much to be a good company, to be perceived as a good company. And it just went viral beyond what one would think. But I think in this context, customer service is the exception, not the rule, particularly at this level, even though it isn't very expensive to do it this nicely.
We finally see the other side of the double-edged sword of reviews here. Not that this was a structured review, but the power of that positive experience being seen by you. You used to use the analogy, Mike. If somebody used to have a bad experience, they'd tell 10 people. Now they post it online and 100 people see it. Well, now it's hundreds of thousands of people. So Exactly. Just a terrific example of that. I think the other interesting thing for me is that unless this is a policy inside of Chewy, which would be somewhat surprising to me, but if so, I mean, even more credit to them. But the enablement of a presumably lower level customer service person to do the right thing is pretty powerful, which you don't see in a lot of large enterprises.
Yes, I would argue that this probably is a policy, that there's some way in which these reps do have a certain amount of discretion, and they do have a kind of a playbook probably for these kinds of scenarios.
And this is just the first time that it's gone viral. I mean, that seems
well, unless you have a particularly kind of extraordinary or compassionate person who's going to send flowers out of their own pocket, which is very unlikely, then they're using some sort of company budget, and that's probably within a menu of options that are available to them. I would guess. And I think this kind of thing has to be institutionalized, has to be formalized, or you have to give people enough discretion to be able to really do the right thing at a first line customer service level, which most companies pay lip service to, but don't actually deliver on. Everybody and their brother is talking about customer experience and customer service and all the principles that we would agree to and support here, but you rarely encounter that in practice. And so when it happens, it's an extraordinary thing, and you get this, and it's the very unusualness of this kind of thing that has gotten the attention. It's precisely because it's so rare that people have responded to it, I think.
It does also speak to Chewy and their understanding of of their client base to understand the role that pets play in their lives as such a, I mean, it's like family, and
Pets are people.
Right, in this context, and they treat it that way, and they treat it with the utmost respect, which that also must be a corporate sort of ethos to relate to the pet as if it were a family, and this tragedy, it is a tragedy for this person, and that to treat it as such. I think that speaks well to Chewy as well. So
there's another interesting dimension to this, which I think is, and we're speculating, of course, the job satisfaction of the rep, him or herself, who did that. A person who's empowered to take action like that, however constrained, but within some range of options, is going to be a better customer service person and more satisfied, and is going to do a better job for it representing the company. There are just a lot of people out there who are, you get a sense on the other end of the phone, they're just very dehumanized, and there's just a lot of frustration and anger that goes back and forth, and people just don't really feel it's not a positive experience. And this is a totally different scenario, and I think that person probably likes their job and probably does a better job as a consequence of being given whatever autonomy or discretion that they have.
in contrast with my Verizon experience that I didn't talk about last week, just they knew the line was broken. They still made me go through 2 hours of diagnostics to see if it was my problem, even though they knew the line was broken down the road. It's like, what was that all about? How could they not? It's like,
well, a
suboptimal playbook on Verizon's part.
Well,
a suboptimal playbook for sure.
Bad faith. If they know that, for example, something is happening on their end, and they're still making you unplug and replug in the modem or whatever the hell they're doing, it's really bad. And I so often customer service is about getting rid of the customer. So often these calls.
This was a chat, but it was more frustrating because, let me check that. It checks it. Let me check that. Oh, do this again. I had to unplug and plug it in 3 times. Once because the internet told me, twice because he told me, and then I'm supposed to go outside and plug into whatever that box is outside my house. And in the end, it turned out they knew they had a downed line in our whole neighborhood. It's like,
well, I can speculate why they did that, because that's some script that they have, and these are the stages that they make everyone go through in a standardized way because of some data.
Could have flashed on my screen when I went to the internet, said, lines down in your area. This isn't complicated. Please be patient.
Often people aren't given the power or the incentives to do the right thing, and they just go through the motions and read a script.
All I can say is thank God that Verizon doesn't sell dog food. That's.
I was going to say we can only hope that this podcast gets liked 365,000 times. So
that's right. We'll be sending
Verizon
flowers.
Suffers the reverse impact of Chewy.
Yeah, we'll be sending flowers to all our listeners.
Thanks for joining David, Mike, and Greg. To stay on top of the latest developments in local, subscribe to our newsletter at nearmedia.co. We'll see you next week.